Y'all, what is good? Welcome to the channel, man. I'm Blake Nathan, aka the Nonprofit Guy. I help individuals start, scale, and sustain their tax-exempt organization. This series of videos that I'm going to do, y'all, is called Nonprofit One-on-One. I really want to educate aspiring and current nonprofit leaders and founders the do's and don'ts of having a nonprofit, how to maximize your impact, but more importantly, stay compliant with the IRS. So today is for my founders, y'all, because I understand that I know right now some of you are trying to Google this information, ChatGPT it. In today's video, I really want to break down the proper steps that you need right now that you can start your nonprofit today. So let's actually first start with, what is a nonprofit? A lot of us don't even really know the terminology in the nonprofit space. How do we define a nonprofit organization? And I really want to start there because most of us think as a nonprofit as an organization. It is a corporation. A nonprofit is a business. Now, the beautiful thing about having a nonprofit is, especially a 501c3 tax-exempt organization, you do not pay taxes on the income you generate. Why is that? Because you're a federally exempt organization as a 501c3. Now, there are multiple different tax codes, but most people that are creating nonprofits are creating a 501c. But you have other tax-exempt nonprofits like a 501c5, C6, C7, all the way up, right? But a C4 is like a PAC group, a political action committee. Now, you can lose your C3 status if you are doing any endorsing of political candidates. You want to do some advocacy work, some lobbying work, you want to create a 501c4. But in today's video, we're really going to talk about a 501c3. Now, 501c3's purpose is to create some type of community impact. That means you have a program, you provide services, you have an initiative, you're doing something inside of your organization to create impact in your community, your city, state, and beyond. Now, when you think about a nonprofit, right, most people think about nonprofit means no profit. And I'm be honest with y'all, like, I don't even like the word nonprofit because that's the first misconception. Yo, Blake, if I get a nonprofit, that means one, it can't be profitable. Or I don't like the word nonprofit because the first thing a lot of us think about is the first two letters, the N and the O. We're like, nonprofit means no profit. If you don't have profit in your nonprofit organization, how are you going to be sustainable? How are you going to go out there and create your programs, have your initiatives, provide your services to your community? And guess what? Most of us as nonprofit leaders and nonprofit organizations are providing these things to our community 100% free. So if we're not charging our community to be beneficiaries of our programs or services, then we got to go out there and raise the money through other ways. Now, that'll be a whole different video, right? How you can fund your nonprofit organization. But today we're really going to just focus in on the proper steps that you need to do and implement right now that you can start your nonprofit tonight. So let's go into how to start a nonprofit. And before I even get to these steps, I want to let you know this too. No one owns a nonprofit. It is governed by a board of directors. You as a founder and you as active CEO can actually serve as your board president. You need at least 3 board members in the United States. As for my US-based nonprofits, I work with majority only US-based nonprofits. So if you are a US-based aspiring founder that you're trying to start your own nonprofit organization, you need at least 3 board members, and you can be one of the 3 board members. That means in your ecosystem, in your network, in your community, your colleagues, your friends, your family, you got to find 2 other people that you trust, that believes in your mission, that believes in your vision, and truly wants to support you. But more importantly, y'all, write this down in your notes. You want people that's actually going to add value to your board and also add value to the organization. Now, when we think about our board, it's a board makeup. And I really like to think about a board as not just value add, but board personas. Like, what am I looking for? Now, write this down too, y'all. When I'm thinking about my board, I like to have, I know I told you 3, I have a starting 5, because when I'm trying to identify people that will serve on my board, I'm looking at a starting 5. Think about the NBA. You got 5 people that start in the NBA on the starting lineup. Same thing for your nonprofit. Now, you have to always have an odd number of board members, 3, 5, 7, 9, etc. The main reason is because when you're in a board meeting, you have to have a vote that is an odd number. If one person says yay, another person says nay, you need a tie-breaking vote. That is why you have you have an odd number for board members. Now, my starting 5, these are the avatars, the identifiers that I'm looking for people to serve on my board. Now, my starting 5 looks like this. I want someone that has some type of financial experience, right? Maybe it's a certified CPA, maybe it's an accountant. But I just need someone, when I talk about add value, I need someone that's going to help me financially manage this corporation, which is this nonprofit. Help me with our budgeting, help me with our financial forecasting, help us with our accounts payable, accounts receivable. I want someone that's really going to help us make sure we are doing things by the books, but more importantly, that can really look at our financial makeup of our organization. The second person I'm looking for is someone that can provide legal counsel to the organization. Main reason is because you're going to get a lot of contracts contracts, a lot of agreements, MOUs, service terms and agreements, and you're like, yo, this is a lot for me. So what you need is someone that's going to basically help you read through the legal jargon before you sign your name on the dotted line. Now, it doesn't need to be a nonprofit lawyer, doesn't need to be a lawyer in general. No, it doesn't. But I want someone that can provide legal counsel or legal advice to me that has some type of experience in this sector, which is a nonprofit space. The third person I'm looking at is someone that has business experience running a for-profit corporation or running another nonprofit. I want someone that's truly going to help me and have a strategic plan, help me do a SWOT analysis, help me do a market analysis, how to run an organization, how to grow an organization. So I need someone that has some type of business experience, especially if I'm a brand new nonprofit founder and I never ran a business ever before. If it's a for-profit company, a LLC, I need someone that's going to help educate me, mentor me, and support me along this journey. The fourth person is I want someone that is in the political landscape. Now, remember I said this, you can lose your exemption status as a 501c3 if you're doing any endorsing of political candidates. So this fourth person is not a politician, but in the political landscape. When I'm trying to identify someone like that, I'm looking for someone that understands state policies, understands city budgets, understand what is going on behind closed doors in our county, in our district, in our local municipality. I want to have someone have their ears to the streets that can understand how do I make sure when I'm hearing these different things going around that maybe from a legislative standpoint, they have my nonprofit in the front of their mind. How can this impact my organization? How can we be beneficiaries of what's going on in our city, our county, or even our state? So that's the fourth person. The fifth persona for a board position I'm looking for is someone that knows my community, or more importantly, someone that knows my niche. Now, these other people that are on your board, they may not truly understand and is truly passionate about your mission and vision and have experience in the niche that you're trying to serve. But this fifth person, like that's your two-headed monster. They know exactly what you're trying to do. They know exactly how you're trying to go about solving a problem. And they're like, hey, I can really truly amplify the work that you're trying to do by being on the board of your nonprofit. So you want someone in accounting, you want someone in legal, you want someone in the political landscape, you want someone that has business experience, and the fifth person you're looking for is someone that has experience in your niche. Now, you may say, Blake, I can't find 5 people. You don't have to find 5 people, but you do want to find some identifiers of that starting 5. Now, once we have our board identifiers, put a pin in that one, right? Because we're going to go back to that step here later in the video. Now, what I want you to do, here are the steps that you're going to do right now to start your nonprofit today. The first step, I want you to do your research. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I want you to do a market analysis. I always say this as a founder of a nonprofit and multiple nonprofits. I'm a visionary. I understand this too. You're watching this video, you feel like you're probably a visionary too. But guess what? The ideas that you probably come up with already exist. Now, it may not exist in your neighborhood. It may not exist in your community. It may not exist in your state, but you probably another city, a town that's similar to your city and town that a nonprofit exists and is doing the work. And what you want to do is research another city that is similar to yours. So prime example, if you live in Chicago, you may want to look at New York, DC, Detroit, because guess what? It has a similar city makeup as that city. If you're in Atlanta, look at Houston, Texas. Again, DC. I'm looking at different cities that have a similar demographic makeup of my city, has similar things that are going on in their city as my city, and I'm going to try to research, does a nonprofit exist in there? And if it does, is it good, bad, and ugly that this organization does? I'm doing my research, right? And then once I see that, I'm going to take what I want to take from what I see about another nonprofit organization, and I'm going to apply it in an innovative way to my community through my organization. Once we do our research, I want you to do the second step. I want you to set the foundation. Set the foundation. I want you to come up with creating a mission and vision of the organization. Now, a lot of us always get these two things kind of interchanged together or misconstrued. Like, Blake, what is a mission versus a vision? So let me break it down for you real quick. A mission is the actionable steps that you would take to achieve the vision. The vision is the ultimate goal. It is like that crystal ball moment. It's 50 years down the line, if your nonprofit was in existence, what would the world look like? Now, I'm gonna let you on a little secret. As a founder of your organization, your main goal and main objective every single day is to try to put yourself out of business. Your goal is to put yourself out of business. Why do I say that? Because if you are a founder of a nonprofit and your mission is the actionable steps, it's the day-to-day activity, it's the programming, it's the services, it's the givebacks, it's the impact that you're making in the community. From that mission, you will plan on achieving that vision. You plan on achieving that vision. So you say, my vision is to end homelessness and Atlanta, Georgia. Your goal is that you won't see anybody that's homeless in the streets of Atlanta, Georgia. That's the vision, right? We want to be very detailed. My vision is that we will have a city, a safe city, where we don't have individuals that are experiencing homelessness, don't have any mental traumas. My vision is that individuals will have stable housing, will have quality work, will also have no mental traumas, because guess what? Our nonprofit has a vision that individuals that are homeless in Atlanta, Georgia does not exist. So I always say this too. Doesn't mean that your vision is going to be achieved in your lifetime. It may not be achieved in your decade, this year, but the goal is every single day we're striving to achieve that vision. And if we achieve our vision one day, we put ourselves out of business and we did our job. Now, also, when you create your mission and your vision, I want you to do this too. I want you to create a strategic plan. A lot of nonprofit founders mess up when they're trying to go out there and win grants and go out there and do their work. The actual good work is because they have this idea, they know what they want to do, but they really truly don't know what that looks like on a day-to-day basis. 3 months, 6 months, 12 months down the line, what does this look like? What kind of program I want to do that's maybe I can scale to multiple cities, multiple states. And so I truly want you to think about creating a strategic plan, include a logic model, include a SWOT analysis, include a work plan. I truly want you to figure out what this nonprofit will look like and how we will go to market and how we will execute. And the beautiful thing about having a truly fleshed out strategic plan, guess what, y'all? It will put you in position to start winning grants. I'm gonna talk about that later in some more videos of how you can actually fund your nonprofit organization through grants, sponsors, donors, and even incorporating a fee-for-service model. So now, once we set the foundation, we got a mission statement, we got a vision statement, and we have solid strategic plan. I want us to now think about a name for our nonprofit. The third step is come up with a name for your nonprofit organization. Now, I have 3 house rules, y'all. House rule number 1 is you can name the nonprofit after yourself if it's a legacy play. Give you an example. The Waltons, owners of Walmart, have a Walton Foundation. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The LeBron James Family Foundation. The Steve and Margie Harvey Foundation. These individuals created nonprofits to preserve their legacy, but more importantly, to make sure they're creating impact, and they decided to name the nonprofit after themselves. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2, any entrepreneurs, if you watch this video and you run an LLC, you run a for-profit company, you know what you can do? You can name the nonprofit after yourself. You can name the nonprofit after your business and add the word foundation if the nonprofit is truly going to serve as a foundation to the for-profit entity. Example, you have Starbucks, you have the Starbucks Foundation. You have Home Depot, you have the Home Depot Foundation. You have Walmart, you have the Walmart Foundation. You have Saks Fifth Avenue, you have the Saks Fifth Foundation. Y'all, most for-profit corporations across the nation have a foundation or nonprofit attached to them. And the only thing they do is add the word foundation if what they're going to do is donate money, a portion of their proceeds, which the IRS will allow you to donate up to 10% on the business side, up to 10% annual gross income. IRS will allow you to donate 10% annual gross income from your for-profit to a nonprofit organization if they're a 501c3. Now, the IRS does not specify the nonprofit. It doesn't say St. Jude Hospital. It doesn't say Big Brothers Big Sisters, YMCA, your church, your hospitals, schools. It didn't specify the name of the nonprofit. It only specified the tax-exempt designation, which is a 501c3. So if you have your own 501c3 nonprofit as a business owner, you can donate money to it. So if you have a for-profit company and you're like, hey, I really want to donate money to my nonprofit and we're going to disperse those funds back out to the community, grants, through sponsorships, and it's truly going to serve as a foundation, then add the word foundation to it. The third rule is I want you to create a universal name. Do not put the name of your nonprofit in a box. Like, prime example, if you work with just women, right? I may not want to call it the Women Cares Foundation or the Women Cares Incorporated. Main reason is because you want a universal name, right? A universal name. I think about Apple, think about Google, Nike, Amazon. The names of these companies are universal. So it doesn't matter how the economy goes. It doesn't matter what's going on, different buzzwords. These names of the corporations are universal and almost timeless. So when you're thinking about the name of your nonprofit, think of those 3 rules. Now, I always say this as a parent and I have children, I can name whatever I want to name my child. That your nonprofit is your baby. So think about when you're naming your nonprofit, what do you want to name your baby? Step number 4, I want you to actually get a business phone number. I want you to get a business email, and I want you to actually actually grab the social media accounts, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn. Grab the handles of the name of your nonprofit. Even though you may not even have it registered yet, just go ahead and grab those. And when I say business email and business phone number, I want you to get a org email, not a .com. .org is for nonprofits, .com is for for-profits. So when you want to get your email now, I will, in a later video, I will show you actually how to get free emails through Google for nonprofits, because guess what? Google actually gives free email accounts to nonprofit organizations. Now, once we get our business phone number, our business email address, we got our social media accounts, I also want you to go ahead and grab an official business address. Please, y'all, do me a favor. Do not make your home address the address on your business documents. I want you to get either a virtual address, don't get a P.O. box, a virtual address, iPostal, Regis, Opus. These are all different virtual address companies that you can use right now to actually have an official business address that is not your home address. You don't want your home address on your business document, especially for a nonprofit. You know why? It's public information. Anyone can research your nonprofit from the state level to the federal level. So to protect yourself, protect your identity, to have some privacy, do not put your home personal resident address on your business document. Step number 5, I want you to create your bylaws. Your bylaws are the governing documents of your nonprofit. It's the do's and don'ts. It's how we do what we do when we do it as an organization, right? Your bylaws is almost like the Bible for your nonprofit. It is the policies, the procedures, the rules, the regulations, who can do what and when. You need to have a set of bylaws, because you also need your bylaws when we start to apply for your tax exempt status. Once you do our bylaws, guess what I want you to do now? We talked about board members, right? I want you to identify your board members. You only need 3, but I'm a pusher and I want you to do homework after you watch this video. Come up with a list of at least 10 people to be on your board. 10 people. Oh, Blake, you told me I need 3. I just need 3, Blake. I need an odd number. You talked about the starting 5. I may want to have 5. Wait, where's this 10 coming from? The 10 is coming from because not everybody's going to say yes. When you go start asking people to serve on your board, because guess what? You don't pay your board members. Your board members are volunteer positions. If you feel like you have to compensate your board members to believe in your vision, to believe in the mission, to support your organization, then they need to be staff members. They don't need to be board members, y'all. They need to be staff members. They want to receive a check from the nonprofit. Tell them you will hire them as full-time staff members, part-time staff members, 1099 contractors. Don't pay your board members. Have them be volunteer. These are volunteer positions, people that are going to add value to your organization and support you. So come with a list of 10. And the reason I put this step down a little bit further, even understanding what a board is, but really put it down further in the steps of starting a nonprofit, because I want you, when you start asking people to be on your board, I want you to be confident. I want you to be compelling. I want you to feel secure about who you are, what you guys are doing, the mission, the vision of the organization, your plan of action. You have a strategic plan in place. And now when you start pitching the idea, pitching the organization to these potential board members, you're speaking with clarity. You're speaking with confidence, and they understand the direction that you want to take the nonprofit before they add their thought process and their perspective. So come a list of 10. From that 10, I want you to then have 20% close rate. 2 people. I would really start with just having 3 people on my board. You're going to be one of those 3 people. That means you got to find 2 additional people to serve on your board. Next, you want to register your nonprofit with the Secretary of State of your choosing. I get this question to me asked a lot of times, like, Blake, does it matter what state I register my nonprofit? And honestly, since you're getting federal tax exemption from the IRS, it really doesn't matter from a federal standpoint, but it matters from a support standpoint. So I always tell aspiring founders, start the nonprofit where you have footprints. Start the nonprofit where you feel like you have the most support. Some people may live in California, but say, hey, I'm from New York City. I got family there. I got people in my network there. I started my career there. So I really feel like I had the best opportunity to raise funding in New York, and I can create partnerships in New York, a 20% conversion rate of people saying they want to be on your board. Even though I live in California, I will start the nonprofit in New York. But also, if you want to register your nonprofit in multiple states, you can. So that means you can operate in California and in New York. That is called being a domestic foreign entity. So prime example, if you Google the Secretary of State of your state. So if I'm in New York, I'm going to Google Secretary of State, New York, nonprofit business registration. Let me show you what I would do. Let me show you what this looks like. So what I would do is I would Google the Secretary of State of New York, right? I'm just using New York as an example. I go Google Secretary of State of New York. What I would do is I will Google the Secretary of State business registration, and let's just do New York, right? New York. So boom, I look into New York business registration. Guess what? Be on the lookout for scam websites. Most websites across the nation will have a .gov ending of their domain. If you see .com, red flag, y'all. You see .com, that is a red flag. 99% of the time, not an official site to register your business. So when you get to the final pages and like, hey, send me some money, make a payment, it's probably not a right website. But this site is .gov. That is most of the time you're gonna have a .gov ending on the domain for your nonprofit. Here we go. So you see that. So I can go into any state. I can just type in the states. I can do Georgia, Secretary of State business registration nonprofit, right? It takes me to right here, register corporation, and I can go right here and go through the process. The step that you need to do, once you get the mission, the vision, the business address, the business email address, your bylaws, your board, now we can go out there and register our nonprofit with the Secretary of State. And guess what, y'all? That is the same process that a for-profit does. People always say, man, Blake, why does it take long to register my nonprofit and become a nonprofit organization? It's actually the same process as a for-profit company. The difference is you will have a board of directors. You're going to have a business address. You're going to have a business email address. You're going to have a name of your company. Same thing for a nonprofit, y'all. You can register your nonprofit today with the Secretary of State. So once we register with the Secretary of State, we're going to wait a few days. Some states take 3 days, 5 days, even 7 business days to get our approval back. Now, the next step is what I would do after I get my approval, and I'm going to apply for my EIN. So you're going to go to the website. So you're going to go to the IRS website and you're going to apply for an EIN. It's called an employer identification number. This is almost like your social security number for your nonprofit organization. You need this number, right, to even file for your tax exemption status, because we need an identifier number for our business. You get a new EIN. So I know some people may say, well, Blake, I have a for-profit company. I have multiple LLCs. Can I use that same EIN for that company for my nonprofit? No, you have an EIN for your nonprofit. You have an EIN for your for-profit. This is so important because these are 2 separate entities. So once we get our EIN, that's instant, y'all. Instant. It will take you literally less than 5 minutes to get approved for your EIN. So if you went through the EIN process or somebody's doing your paperwork and you're like, why is it taking so long for that's probably because they're not doing it right? The EIN should take at least 5 minutes to complete the application, and it's instant. Once you actually apply for the EIN, do yourself a favor. Do not ask for the EIN to be mailed to you. You have an option when you get to the final page. Once your EIN is approved, right in the portal, that same time, right in the portal, instantly, it's going to either ask you to be mailed, or would you like to download a copy using Adobe as a PDF document? Download the EIN. You get that EIN instantly. You upload that in any secure platform that you want to use to house all your documents, but you should get your EIN instantly. And guess what? Once you get your EIN and your nonprofit established on the state level, you're officially a nonprofit organization. You're officially in business. You can actually go take that EIN number. You can actually go take that articles of incorporation once you get state approved as a nonprofit organization with the Secretary of State of your choosing, and you go to the bank and open a bank account. You are now an official business, y'all. So the last step that we want to do to actually be a 501c3 organization is apply for our exemption status. So there's a site that I want you to go to, and it's called pay.gov. So the website is called pay.gov. This website is where you're going to submit a document called a 1023 application. Now, a lot of people, when they submit the 1023 application, there's 2 versions of the 1023 application that you can do to get federal exemption status. It's called a 1023 EZ, E as in elephant, Z as in zebra, or a 1023 long form. The main thing that you need to focus in on before you submit any form, regardless to the easy application or the long form, is how much money you are projected to bring in a given fiscal year. So what that means is the IRS want to know, are you going to have a nonprofit under $50,000 annual revenue or over $50,000 annual revenue? Why is that important? Because the easy application, even though it's shorter, about 4 pages long, it's only $275 to submit to the IRS. Guess what? You have a restriction. You have a cap. You cannot surpass $50,000 annual revenue or $250,000 in assets. If you surpass that number of $50,000 in annual revenue, the IRS will be notified when you do your 990 tax returns the next tax year. If you brought in $100,000, the IRS is going to say, yo, hold on now. You did the easy form. You told us that you weren't going to surpass $50,000. You brought in $100,000. We need you to do the long application. Now, that's why you as a founder, you got to be honest with yourself. Do you think one day that you're going to bring in over $50,000? And if that's the case, do the long form. That is my suggestion. I will always promote and tell my clients that let's have big dreams. Let's think not just this year, let's think 2-3 years down the line where we may get that big grant, we may get that big donor, we may get that big sponsor. And if I am projecting that this is going to happen for me and I got some big goals because I want to create massive change in my community. We're talking about affordable housing. We're talking about opening up schools. We're talking about after school programs. We're talking about tech platforms just for nonprofit organizations. That's going to cost money. And most of the time, more than $50,000. So I would advise you, rather than paying the IRS twice for the easy application because you thought you weren't going to pass $50,000, and then when you do, paying them $600 to do the long application, why not just pay them $600 at the gate and be done with it? Now, the long application is long for a reason. It's about 40 something pages long. It's a logic type of application. So how you answer one question will trigger another set of questions. And this is the same form that hospitals, schools, but libraries, all of them do. It's the same application for every nonprofit across the nation. So just ask yourself, as a true founder, how much money am I anticipating doing? Now, I get this question too. But Blake, if I start with the easy, can I eventually do the long form? Yes, you can. First, IRS will allow you to submit the 1023 easy form. You feel like, okay, I didn't think I was gonna get to the 50,000, and now I'm actually getting to the 50,000. I'm about to surpass it. Can I now submit the long application? You can, right? But guess what you already have in place? You already have your bylaws, you already have your board of directors, you already have your name, your nonprofit, you already established. If you actually submitted your 1023 EZ and you got approved for your exemption status, and then you eventually submit your long form, you're already in the IRS database. So now when you submit that application, guess what? It's gonna probably get processed a little bit quicker. So I want to end with this. The one last thing that you want to be mindful of, how long does it take for you to receive your exemption status? Now, if you call the IRS and say, how long would it take for you all to process my application? They're going to tell you 90 to 120 days for you to receive your tax exemption status, which is called a determination letter. The determination letter is just a one-page document that the IRS will give you and saying that you are an official tax-exempt nonprofit, a 501c3 organization. When you receive donations, that donations are now tax deductible to those donors, the whole 9 yards. But that letter, the IRS will tell you 90 to 120 days. Does it always take that long? No, it doesn't. The IRS rather under promise and over deliver. They rather tell you it's going to take you 90 to 120 days, but doesn't mean that you won't get your letter in 2 weeks, a month, 60 days. Now, I always tell my founders and my clients that don't worry about the date. Like, don't worry about the paperwork taking 90 days, 120 days. You're like, man, Blake, I'm looking at the clock and it's taking forever. Don't worry about that, because the IRS will retroactive your exemption status to the effective date of exemption. And guess where they get that effective date of exemption? When you submitted the paperwork with the Secretary of State. So rule of thumb, so let's just say it is January and I submitted my application January 10th, right? But I don't get my determination letter to May 19th. It's been almost 5 months that I submitted my application. Guess what the IRS will do? It's going to retro date your exemption status back to January, and January 18th, the day that you actually submitted and got approved with the Secretary of State. So any time between the January date and the May date that you raise money, you received a donation, you won a grant, all that money now is tax deductible to those individuals and corporations. And also, while you're waiting on your exemption status, you should be working. So I always tell people that too. While you're waiting, we're working. We're working on creating our programs. We're working on getting our budget. We're working on identifying partners. We're working on actually implementing the strategic plan. Because once we get the exemption status, doesn't mean the work just starts now. The work should have been started once we got officially approved on the Secretary of State level. The exemption status, being a tax-exempt organization, is just an added bonus. you're already a nonprofit once you submit on the Secretary of State and you get approved and you get an EIN. You're just not tax exempt yet. So if you love this video, you love this content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. But that's it. So I'm hoping that you got some value from this video. Nonprofit 101, how to start a nonprofit organization. You took down the steps and you're about to start your nonprofit today. Also, you can download my official app, the Nonprofit HQ, where I actually give out a free ebook on how to start your nonprofit. I give you the actual links that you need, the pay.gov, all the things that you need right now to actually start your nonprofit. I have in a free ebook. All you got to do is download the Nonprofit HQ. If you like content like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel, click that like button, and guess what? I'll see you on more episodes of Nonprofit 101.